Hey everybody, this is Greg Ryder from Angel Investors Network. Welcome to our live Google Hangout called the 5 Steps to Generating Millions in Capital for Your Business. We're going to show you some stuff that's actually going to rock your world, and we're on the leading edge of the fundraising business with the new laws. And I got my guest with us, Caleb Huey. Welcome,
Hi.
Caleb.
Thank you, Greg. Very happy to be here.
See now, Caleb, this is his first live Hangout. And now I have this thing called what I call the blue box, where, and actually they changed the color from blue to white, but I can control who's on the screen. Like you're on the screen now I'm on the screen, and you're on the screen, or I can turn that off and then it's voice activated. So whoever's talking, the video automatically switches. So I'm just sharing with Caleb a little bit how this works. So we're a little bit early. We're going to give it a 2 or 3 minutes for people to hop on. We had over 150 people register for this webinar, and I know that there's going to be hundreds that are going to be registering late, because we really just put this out over the weekend. I don't really usually mail on the weekends, but we wanted to get a jump on this. We want to get things going. So I just want to welcome you guys here. Let's do a sound check and an audio check. So you guys should see on the right-hand side or somewhere. I'm always on this side of the video camera, but somewhere on your side, I think there's a chat box. So I see Jason said hello. So if you can just type your name and the city where you're from in the chat box, I'll know that you can hear me okay. And if you have any audio problems, go ahead and type that in there as well. But go ahead, type your name and the city where you're from in there. So, okay, I see we have Ed from San Diego. I see Curtis is on board. He didn't say where he's from, but thank you, Curtis. I see Jason's on board. I see we got Jeff's on board. Thank you guys for showing up. He's also in San Diego. We have Bonnie in South Carolina, and Winston in Atlanta, Georgia, and Charlie in Orange County. Hey, Charlie. Hey, that's our big time radio talk show host that I met at the Freedom Fest. Thanks for showing up, Charlie. Appreciate it.
Hey, Charlie.
Yeah,
I Charlie.
We got Stephanie from San Francisco, Tommy from New York, Chris from Utah. All right, everyone's popping on. We appreciate it. So it looks like we got some good audio, and everything's working okay. Now, this is Google Hangout Live, right? We are streaming live on the internet. You can get it live on my Google Plus page. It's going to be streaming on YouTube as well. So you never know with technology. Now, here's what I got to tell you. So you got to love Samsung, right? And Verizon. I'm literally in my condo in Vail, Colorado, which I've been here for the whole month of September, working in the day and goofing off at night. And the internet's terrible. Literally, it's like 1.5, 2 megabytes download and like a 1/4 of a megabyte upload. It's impossible. So I'm using my Verizon, and on here I tested before this Hangout, thinking, God, are we going to be able to get this done? And I'm getting 25 megabit download and 3.5 megabit upload on my phone. So thank you, Verizon, for saving the day, because I would have had to do something, maybe go to Starbucks or something. So, hey, Marcos. Hey, Marcos. Hey, thanks for joining us. Billy Daniel, thanks for getting on board. Chris from Utah. Appreciate it. Yeah, Samsung's good. So I got 1201 straight up. So I'm going to go ahead and get going, because I'm one of these guys who likes to get things done on time. It's all about execution, all about getting stuff done. So, again, my name is Greg Ryder. I'm the CEO and founder of Angel Investors Network. I've been fortunate to have been helping entrepreneurs raise capital, build their business, be successful, and create wealth since I was 19 years old. I literally was born to a very wealthy family in Denver, Colorado. If you've ever been there, you go to downtown Denver, there's a whole square block called Ryder Square. My parents got divorced when I was 3 years old, and I lived with my mom and visited my dad. I literally had the rich dad, poor dad story. By the way, does anyone know Robert Kiyosaki? Because if you do, tell him I want my royalties for that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, because that book was about me. But he got me into investing when I was 19. I ended up getting my securities license when I was 21. I ended up buying the firm that same year, right before I turned 22. And I was hailed as the youngest owner of a full-service investment banking firm in the history of the United States. Now, that was my first big mistake in life, and I've since made lots more. And the whole point of that is that I want to share my wisdom and my knowledge and my relationships that we've accumulated over the years with you, the entrepreneur, and investors, all kinds of investors on this call as well, and invited to this call, with the idea that we create jobs, we stimulate the economy, we help make America a better place. I just thought, I just wrote a book called Saving America One Crowd at a Time. And Caleb, remind me, and I'll give everybody who showed up for this webinar a free copy of my book. All you got to do is pay the shipping and handling. But at the end of this, I'll give you the link on how you can do that. So with that being said, I personally believe that capital formation in America is broken. If you're an entrepreneur and you're on this call, you want to raise capital, where do you go? And you know how many times I hear a Shark Tank TV show? It's like, really? It's like, that's a 1 in a million chance to get on that show. And I actually, by the way, one of our partners is one of the former sharks from Shark Tank, Kevin Harrington. But I believe it's broken. And that's why I wrote my book, Saving America One Crowd at a Time, because I believe that the new laws and crowdfunding, and there's crowdfunding laws we're going to talk about today, that are game changers, literally game changers, that are helping us build back up capital formation for the early entrepreneur in that early stage business. Now, there's tons of money out there. It's everywhere. On every street corner. I'm in Vail, Colorado. There's billions everywhere. You got to be worthy of money. You have to have a company that's worthy of money. I want you guys to get that. Entrepreneurs, you have to understand you have to be worthy of investment capital. And what you're doing is you're marketing your investment opportunity like you would market a product or service. You got to package it up. You got to structure it right. You got to get your team in place. And you got to make sure that you've packaged your investment opportunity so it's attractive to investors to write checks. So money is everywhere. That's one. But there is this big void between the early stage startup or the guy that's maybe pre-revenue or maybe just getting into revenue and the venture capital money. Now, here's a concept that you got to understand as an entrepreneur. Venture capitalists are sitting on the hundreds of millions and billions of dollars to invest. They want to invest, but they can't afford to invest $1 million in a deal, $2 million in a deal. They spend upwards of $300,000 just to do their due diligence on an investment target. Right? So that's why they invest $5, $10, $20 million in a deal. So it's really us trying to help you get that first $500,000, million, $3 million, $5 million, and make that get you to the point to where if you do need that next round of VC money, you're prepared and ready to go. So that's what we want to do. Now today, I want to introduce Caleb Huey, and I'm going to talk a little bit about him and his father, Craig Huey, and it's they're a very strategic partner of ours. They are a key, literally a key to unlocking millions and millions and millions of dollars of financings for entrepreneurs, right? For any stage for that matter. And Caleb has never done a live Google Hangout. He's done hundreds of webinars. So I got him on the live Google Hangout. I did not prepare him about what I'm going to say, what I'm going to do. So we're going to hit him right between the eyes. He's going to have to throw it off on the ad lib and show what's going on. But before I do that, let me talk to you a little bit about their firm. Now, first of all, Caleb is an incredible young man. And I just love this kid, right? And I can call him a kid because I think I'm at least 30 years older than him. And he grew up with a marketing guru as a father. And he grew up in this marketing industry, and he's just taken to it, and he's smart as a whip, and he understands everything there is about marketing, especially when it comes to direct mail, and especially when it comes in the financial arena. Now, as much as the people on this line maybe love me, trust me, respect me, might take that for what it is, I don't do it that way, right? I got to do a little bit of marketing here myself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to walk you through a few things because I want to prove a point here, right? One is, you always, when I make a claim that these guys are rock star marketing people, you got to back it up with facts. It's not enough that I say it. So again, when you're marketing your business, your product, or your service, it's not enough for you to say how great you are. You need to back it up with facts. So let me share my screen, and I'm going to go share entire screen, and I'm going to hit share, and then I'm going to go right here. So I happen to have launched this is Craig Huey, the father, and Caleb's company, Creative Direct Marketing Group. And this is their page, Distinguished Clients Worldwide. And I'm not going to go through all of these, but I do want to just make mention in the investment arena, how many people they have worked for, worked with, and done business with. It'll blow your mind. They're literally, in my opinion, I don't know anybody else that has this kind of credibility in the financial markets. Everybody from the Cabot Market Newsletter to Forbes. Look at this, Forbes right there. Forecasted Strategies, Harry Schultz, Peter Schiff. I mean, it just rough times. It just goes on and on. And I'm looking on this live, I'm looking at this row right here. And I'm hoping everyone's seeing this, right? TheStreet.com. Huge, one of the biggest financial related websites in the world, right? Incredible. Then we come down here to newsletters. They've worked with Agora Publishing. That's one of the biggest publishing companies in the financial world in the world. They produce, it's unbelievable how much they produce. And you can just go down this, and you don't put together a website with all these clients unless you've really done something. Then coming back up here to financial investments, it just goes on and on and on and on. Fidelity. I mean, you know, I wish I could say Fidelity was one of my clients. This is incredible. Investors Business Daily. I wish I could say Investors Business Daily was one of my clients. Like, they've worked with all of them, Standard & Poor's. They understand the financial market. They understand people that buy and invest in stocks and that kind of stuff. They understand it. Now I'm going to give you a couple of, you go to their website and you click on case studies, and they have just a list of amazing case studies that I don't want to go through it, but I'm going to go through a couple. So one of the ones that I like, and it's kind of off topic financial, but I just love this. They had a jean company come to them, right? True Religion Jeans, when they were literally a startup, and they were selling jeans between $150 to $350 a pair, right here, $150 to $350 a pair. That had never been done before. Anyway, they came to the marketing challenge. They helped them get going, and bottom line is the results became a national brand. And check this out down here. This is all we care about as investors. The brand has also become a favorite of celebrities. Not long ago, True Religion Jeans, the startup, sold for $835 million. And again, there's a lot more details to this in this story, but that's like the stock went from 70 cents a share to $32 a share. That's what I love. And they use direct mail to do it. Now I'm going to give you one more, because you guys know that Angel Investors Network publishes a newsletter for our members, right? So we're talking and we're working on marketing our newsletter. Well, this group, Craig and his dad and his teams, they have a whole entire team, a complete agency. They worked with VectorVest. They took VectorVest from zero, from nothing, from nada, helping them launch their newsletter. And they sent over 60 million marketing pieces and helped VectorVest generate over 500,000 subscribers. Now, that is success if I've ever seen success before. So with that being said, Caleb, I want to say thank you very much for joining us on this webinar. It's much appreciated. And I know you know that I wasn't going to do that, but I wanted to give people a little idea of who you and your dad were. So I'm going to let you make a few comments, and we'll dive into our presentation today.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Greg. I mean, I was caught off guard. Like you said, I definitely was not expecting to have my company showcase just now, but I really appreciate it. Greg is so good at what he does in igniting the investors and helping entrepreneurs get to the position that they need. And they're a strategic partner for us as well, because what we provide is pretty much not going to work unless you have somebody like Greg's group to help you close the investments. I can market to people all day and get people to respond. But if you don't have the right team in place to convert people into actual investors and partners of yours, the campaign is going to be a failure. So we need each other. My company can help generate all of the interest in the world. His group is going to help ignite those investors and turn them into actual partners of yours. And we're talking about this on a very large scale. When we do a campaign, we want to bring in some big numbers, leads that we can go back to for months for your deal, and continue to expand until you meet your capital goals. So raising $5, $10, $20 million, $30 million. If you have a larger goal, we're going to be marketing for a longer time, but we're going to get there. And everything that we do is based on metrics. So as long as we're producing for you, we're going to continue the campaign as long as it makes sense.
Very cool. And you know what? It's all about the leads, right? It's all about, how do I get leads? I got my friends, my family. How do I get leads, right? In the Angel Investors Network, we have, you know, just under a couple thousand investors in our database, and that's really not enough to fund all the deals we want to fund. So we need to bring more investors in the database too. So with that being said, let's jump into the 5 steps. I'm going to walk through a PowerPoint. Caleb and I are going to comment on each of these screens when appropriate and fill in the blanks, and then we'll allow you to ask your questions in the chat box at the end. I don't want anybody to leave this live Google Hangout without your questions answered, right? And then if you feel this funding method will work for you and you are ready to go, I want you to be ready to call our office. I got my partners waiting by on the phones, and you're going to call, because this system we can only do so many on a monthly basis, but you're gonna love this. So let me go ahead and share my screen one more time. Share screen, entire screen, PowerPoint. Come up here to the top, go full screen. Okay, so now everybody should be seeing my PowerPoint, the 5-point plan for generating millions in new investment capital under the Jobs Act. And maybe you've heard the Jobs Act, maybe you haven't. But basically, here's what I want to let you guys know. These new laws allow advertising to accredited investors for the first time since the Securities Act of 1933. Now, let me put that in perspective. When we're raising capital, we're doing it under what's called a private offering. And up until recently, these new laws, you could not advertise your private offering. You could only advertise a public offering, and that means you have to file forms and paperwork with the Securities and Exchange Commissions in various states, and you have to get approved. You have to go through the review process, and it's very expensive. And then when that happens, then you could advertise. Well, you couldn't advertise to anybody else. You could only raise money through a term called pre-existing relationships, right? Pre-existing relationships. Well, that means some of you know. So you couldn't do any kind of lead generation program. So it's amazing. Now, this particular law, there's lots of parts to the Jobs Act, and the Jobs Act can be very confusing to a lot of people. But this particular law was passed in late 2014. And according to the Securities and Exchange Commission, already more than $14 billion has been raised by early adopters who've taken advantage of these new laws to publicly advertise their advertising. $14 billion. Now, my question to you is, how much of that did you put in your bank account, right? Because we didn't do enough. We all got to get on board. Hey, and Caleb, if you want to comment anywhere in here, just feel to cut me off or jump in, okay?
Sure thing.
So in working with Caleb and his team, again, our team has a role, Angel Investors Network, and a credibility, being around since 1997 and raising millions and millions and millions of dollars. And Creative Direct Marketing Group has a role. So we're going to get to that. But I'm getting right to the meat of it, because literally I want you guys to get what's happening here. So here's the 5-step plan that'll work for any entrepreneur, and it's scalable, as Caleb alluded to a few minutes ago. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to purchase a list of 100,000 accredited investors, right? Then we're going to mail, number 2, a direct response. And in this presentation, we're talking about a 12-page advertorial. And again, I'm going to have Caleb expand on that here in a few minutes, to these 100,000 people. So we're going to buy a list of 100,000 accredited investors, people we know are high net worth investors. We're going to create and mail a direct response advertorial to these 100,000 people. We're going to do integrated marketing, where we integrate email marketing and social media marketing and retargeting to these same 100,000 investors to the best of our ability to increase our response rate. And then through our case studies and through Caleb and his teams doing this for years, we know we can generate approximately 1%. Now, it might be 8.8, might be 0.6, it might be 3%, depending on the market, how sexy your story is, and that kind of stuff. But these are highly qualified investor leads. Then out of these 1,000 leads, this 1% response, the goal is we're going to close a measly 5%, or 50 investors, at an average investment of $50,000 to raise $2.5 million for your business. Very, very simple concept. So again, if you guys have questions, please write them down as I go. So if I don't answer them at the end, I'm going to answer all your questions. I want everyone to be 100% clear. And this is the very first time I've done this. And what I'll do is I'll take all your questions, and the next time I do this, I'll incorporate it, and we'll get more information out there. So with that being said, with working with Caleb and his team, I said, what are really the keys? What are the keys to making this, like I almost want to guarantee this works, right? So direct mail really is the #1 media to reach the accredited investor. How do you reach people? You're going to advertise on the internet. It's really hard to get to them, you know. So it is the #1 thing. But there are 7 critical keys to success in direct mail. Now the first one is you got to buy the right list. You can't just go buy a 100,000 person list. Now again, I could go buy a list. Everybody listening can go buy a list. But do you think Caleb and his dad have a better handle on buying the right list than we do, considering they're doing 5-10 million pieces a month for their people, and they've been doing this for 30 years? I mean, we all know the answer to that question, right? So you got to get the right list.
I can tell you on the list side, I got off the phone with some of my data partners today, and the capabilities we have for finding the right target are massive. The kind of data that we go after, we leverage transactional metadata, and that transactional metadata is collected on every consumer in the United States and the world. Every time you purchase something, it's tagged in a database. Kind of like NSA spying, where they're tracking everything you do, only these are marketing companies. So they know that you've bought gold in the past 12 months. They know that you have a CD, that you have an annuity, that you have made a transaction in your Charles Schwab brokerage account 5 times in the last 6 months. So they know that you're an active investor, that you make your own investment purchases and decisions, and we're able to zero in on the right kind of prospect for the right deal that we're marketing. So the capabilities are pretty massive.
Yeah, no, the right list is critical. And I'm going to go over that a little bit more and show you some examples. The second thing is the right direct response copy. Now, this is very critical because, and I'm not going to get into a big course on copywriting and marketing, but if you don't know how to write copy that evokes emotion and people, create, an action, it doesn't work. And then in the right direct mail format, Caleb and his team are constantly testing. Is it a magalog? Is it a newsalog? Is it a letter in an envelope? What's pulling better? And again, I'll have him go over that a little bit later. But you got to have the right direct mail format, right? Then you have to have the right offer. What are we saying? How are we inspiring, motivating, and getting people to take action to our offer? Then we have to create the right landing page online, right? So our online stuff, and even from that, we'll have people call a phone number and go to an online page, but we got to be legally compliant. We want to make sure we don't break any laws, any rules, and it's also got to have the right call to action, that kind of stuff. And then it's about the follow-up. It's about taking those calls. So again, going back to what Caleb alluded to in the beginning, was you get 1,000 phone calls, who's going to follow up on those, right? And that's where Angel Investors Network comes in. We do that for you. And then we hand over the 50, the 70 leads that are ready to write checks. And then it's about analyzing your results. So on your next campaign, you optimize. So it's always about tracking, analyzing, and optimizing. And that everybody in marketing does that. So when done right, it'll generate the lowest cost per lead, and the lowest cost per sale than any other medium, right? It's just unbelievable. So now let's break it down one by one. So we're going to buy a list of 100,000 credit investors. With today's technology, and as Caleb just referred to, the metadata collected on investors, we're able to purchase lists of investors that meet certain net worth, certain income, and other metadata, allowing us to target the perfect investor for your business. And metadata is just stuff that he was just alluding to. It could be geographic. It could be what kind of car they drive or what kind of car they bought. It could be that they trade at Charles Schwab. All that stuff is there. And literally, direct mail is the most efficient and effective way to target accredited investors. So let's give you an example of an accredited investors mailing list is well defined, and here's kind of what's available, right? So here it's broken down by age, it's broken down by income, because accredited investor, remember, here's the terms of accredited investor. They have to have a $200,000 income for the previous 2 years, or they have to have $1 million net worth exclusive of their primary residence. Okay, so you can see the numbers. If we want to target males 45 to 53, oops, I went up. Oops, I accidentally clicked. Hold on, let me go page back. How do I go page back? Where's my back button? If I want to target 45 to 50-year-olds, there's 644,000 of them. If they more income, they shrink, right? So the point is we can pick the age, because it's very important that we profile the right investor for the investment opportunity. And then again, here it is by net worth. So they have $1 million net worth, right? So you can just look at the numbers here. There's millions of accredited investors out there, and this is the best way to get in front of them. And then again, going back to Caleb was just talking about, we want to additionally segment those geographically, state, zip codes. If they're more likely to respond to direct mail, they've been responsive in the past. Do they have a brokerage account? Have they done a trade in the last 3 months? All this kind of stuff, right? And again, our team collectively with Angel Investors Network and Creative Direct Marketing Group, when we consult with you to get this done on your behalf, We'll help you profile that perfect investor with that perfect demographics so we buy the right lists. Okay. Number 2 is the direct mail advertorial. In an effort to get the highly qualified investor leads to respond, they create a 12-page advertorial in the form of a newsalog or a magalog, and I'll show you what those look like in just a second, with professionally written direct response copy from people on Caleb's team that have been doing this for years to get the perfect language, wording, social proof, national news proof to get them to take action. And great copy, and if anyone knows marketing, can sell just about anything. And so it's very, very important. So I'm going to let you kind of talk about this, right? Why don't you go through this next slide and you kind of talk about this real quick, Caleb?
Sure. So traditional direct mail packages, I'm sure everybody on here is familiar with. You get them in the form of credit card offers. They're either number 10 envelopes, which are smaller. That's what your bills come in, for instance. Number 14 envelopes, which are a little bit larger, typically a credit card promotion. And we can do either a 4-page or an 8-page sales letter. So that sales letter is going to have a very strong call to action and get the person excited and motivated, have some kind of offer, whether it be a special report, some investment survival kit, whatever it is for that will be appropriate for the company, and get people to raise their hand and say, I want this report, or I want this value-added piece, and I want more information on this offer. We can do a variety of creative strategies on the envelope, whether it's putting your logo and having a more corporate, professional feel, or having teaser copy, which is something that's very common for us, where we can clearly present what the offer is. If you have a fixed return for the investor, we can put what that is and why it's safe and why they should move into that space right there on the outside of the envelope. If they like the offer, they'll open it, they'll read more, they'll call, they'll want to talk to a rep and possibly want to invest right then and there. We have other more personal feels where we can do a handwritten envelope where the investor feels as if this is very personal to them. The inside letter can be handwritten. So there are a variety of ways that we can go about doing a traditional direct mail package. A magalog is a bit different. It's more unique. It's 16 pages or more, and it's a strategy that actually my father created and invented back in the early 2000s, and it looks and feels like a magazine. We've designed these to look like a Forbes. We've designed them to look like any kind of magazine that we'd like. If we want it to feel like a Time magazine, then we can do that. And it is like an infomercial in print because it explains something in depth. If you have a complicated offer, if you have a complicated deal, and you really need to explain to that prospect why this is so great and so mouthwatering as an investor, we might want to go with that long 16-page piece. The newsalog is similar to the magalog, only it looks and feels like a newspaper. Typically, our copy with that strategy is a little bit more formal. It's a little bit more newsworthy, as if it's breaking news, and that is typically 12 or more pages, and that's really what we're talking about doing right now. When we do a campaign, we're always testing these formats. What's working in the marketplace, because that's dictating what we're doing as an advertising agency. Is the newsalog producing a higher response? Is the newsalog producing a higher quality response of an individual that's converting? Or is it the magalog, or is it the traditional direct mail package? There are other formats. These three are the most unique and used and effective cost-wise. And those are my 3 recommendations for testing. Like I said, for any company that's looking to do something, we're happy to create it and brand it the way that you want. In this case, this newsalog, we branded to make it feel as if it's a USA Today, but we call out our audience specifically by putting health on it. So we want to talk to people that are interested in health, people that are interested in alternative health, So we're calling out our audience. We're making it feel as if it's newsworthy and breaking news. And we mail that out to I mean, in this case, we've mailed millions of these pieces. And so we're constantly tracking what's working and what's not. This is an example, actually, of an A-B split. This is the same company. On the left, we have something that we designed to look and feel like a newspaper. On the right, we have something we designed to look and feel like a magalog. And both of them have the same body copy, but we reorganized everything to have different sidebars, different breaks in the articles, and we were able to see which one produced best. In this case, the newspaper outperformed against the magalog, and we're going to continue to test to see which one works, because at some point the marketplace is going to lead us in a new direction, and we're going to keep our eyes and ears open to make sure that we're making you, the client, as much money as possible.
Now, see, this is awesome. This is why I want everyone to kind of look at this, right? See, this is the difference between pros and amateurs, right? They got professionally made copy, professionally graphics. You see the headlines, you see the eye-catching photos, and somebody who takes this and reads it, because it is 12, 16 pages, there's so much information. If they get through that information because it was written compelling, it was something that interested them, and they got through it, they are a highly qualified lead. And this is why this is one of the key components of the direct mail. So let me dive into the whole integration now. So now we got the 100,000 person list.
Yeah, let me show you one thing. I just opened up my camera again. I'd like to show you. This is an example of a news log that is going back to the metadata. If we're going to use a zip code, I have the ability to have a rotating headline, and this says the Lomita profile. So it looks and feels as if it's a local newspaper, and I mailed only to the Lomita zip code here. I am in Torrance, California right now, South Los Angeles, or south of Los Angeles. And we did the same thing for Torrance. We did the same thing for Palos Verdes. We did the same thing for Manhattan Beach. Every city had its own masthead, its own headline, and we can target people in your local area. If you want to meet investors and get in contact with people in Florida, in California, in Orange County specifically, we can do that. And we can have this rotating headline, and it makes the person feel as if it's breaking news locally. So this has been a very effective method, and we actually haven't tested this specifically for the Jobs Act, but for other clients in other segments. So the basic human psychology is the same. The people are going to still respond. They're going to like that approach, and I'm excited to have this start to catch on for clients that are looking to do something and really communicate to the local investors, the accredited investors around them. So I just want to introduce
that's great stuff, and it just pays for itself. Lowest cost lead, lowest cost customer acquisition, it just works, right? So then you take all that we just talked about, then you integrate that with email and social media. So when we buy these lists, you know, typically about 25% have valid emails, right? So we'll email them as well. We'll upload them into remarketing platforms. And for those of you who don't know what a remarketing platform is or technology is, let's say you're looking to buy a new Cadillac, you go to the Cadillac dealer, you're looking at cars, and then next thing you know, you want to go check your stocks over at, wallstreetjournal.com, or you're surfing the internet, and all of a sudden there's this ad for a Cadillac, right? Or, and it follows you around. That's called remarketing. So what we do is once we get you to the landing page, once we get you there, then we know how to put what's called a cookie on your computer, and then we follow you around to give you more interactions with the brand, more opportunities to opt in for more information and become a real lead. And so it's the integration of the email, the direct mail, the social media marketing, and we dramatically improve the ROI and the fundraising campaigns. So yeah. Now on step 3, going back to what we talked about, the direct response landing page, we're big believers, I've been teaching this for years, and of course Craig and Caleb have been doing it for years as well. When we send people to a page, we don't want them to send them to a page where they can make a bunch of choices. We want to give them an option to become a qualified prospect or lead, right? So we call that a direct response landing page. And again, as I alluded to earlier, we want to make sure that we're legally compliant with the laws with this page, and we also want to maximize the copy, the layout, the color schemes from all this that we've learned over the years, what colors work, what kind of fonts work, what kind of call to actions work, and we match that up with everything else doing. So there's congruency between the direct mail, the email, the social media, the landing page, everything is congruent. So again, we increase our ROI. And then again, going back to remarketing, we're going to remarket you in a way and keep you in front of your customer. Because you've heard the saying in the marketing and sales world that it takes 7 touches to get somebody to become a client. Well, with remarketing, we can get 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 15 touches in a couple days. And then the same thing with Facebook custom audience. We can upload these people into Facebook and then put advertisements. And when I say advertisements, again, we're putting your company, your message, your brand in front of these people. So again, a side note to this campaign is if you're a B2C business, like 2 or 3 of our customers and our investment portfolio is, you're getting brand recognition, you're getting customers because somebody's going, oh, I'm going to go check that out. And they're going to go to the website and they're going to check it out. You're going to get brand, customers, leads for your business as well. So again, the integrated marketing results is the best way to get the ROI and help them sell them on your investment opportunity. Okay, step 4. This is where Angel Investors Network comes in. Now, we are not brokers. We are not broker dealers. We are not licensed people. We do not take commissions to raise money. So I want that to be clear, right? But what we do is we take those calls. So as we create these campaigns and the phone calls come in and the leads call in and somebody needs to call them, we have an office of people that are my partners, are on my team, that they're all professional former investment bankers. They've all been involved in raising hundreds of millions of dollars or millions of dollars. They've all been involved in managing money, and they know how to handle investors and talk to investors professionally, intelligently, and we don't do any hard sales. We don't do any closing tactics. We're not like those New Yorkers going, are you looking for 50 grand? Can you write a check today? Okay, I can't hang up the phone. We don't do any of that. Right? So we expect about 1,000 leads from each campaign, right? So 99 out of 100 people that we've talked to, actually 100 out of 100 people we've talked to, like, Greg, I can't take 1,000 phone calls. I don't have time to follow up on 1,000 leads. So what we do is our team follows up on those leads. Now, full transparency, why would we take our time, our valuable time, to talk to these people on your behalf and not get paid money, right? Well, I'll tell you why. Because we want to expand our database in Angel Investors Network and build rapport with investors. So the ones that want to invest in your deal, great. The ones that don't, they're going to be in our database. We want to help, teach them, train them, coach them on this whole idea of capital formation, angel investing, supporting entrepreneurs, and get them comfortable to then make an investment down the road. So they become with us, and we have a membership program. So that's the full transparency. Why we're doing it this way is we think it's a win-win-win in that we'll take the calls, we'll find the highly qualified people, the 5% of those 1,000, and we'll make sure you get those. You send them the actual investment documents. We don't send out any investment documents. You'll send the investment documents, and then they'll send you the money and make their investments either wire transfer or a check. Now, Caleb, I know we don't have any screenshots or anything like that, but you've done at least 2 case studies that you and I have talked about. Mm-hmm. Can you go through just the mailer, the numbers, and I alluded to right here that average investment 62,000. But go through those real quick.
Sure thing. So the companies that we work with, as I've mentioned, we can always produce the kind of leads that they need. And the closure rate and the average investment size are 2 things that we need to calculate to ultimately project what the return ratio is for your marketing capital to investment capital. So, or investment capital to marketing capital. If I do a campaign, the first campaign is always a test. We test different lists, we test different copy, and we analyze the results. So my first campaign, when we say 1%, it's approximate because if the first campaign we get 0.8%, then we take a look at the results. We look at the lists that performed best. We look at the ones that were not performing well. We also look at which copy, whether it's version A or version B, was performing better in the marketplace. And then the second campaign that we go out and back into the marketplace, we're going to get a higher response. So I do have metrics where we have gone out, we get that 0.8%, we analyze the results, we go back out, and we got a 1.7% the second time around. Now the closure rate also varies. And working with a team like Greg's is going to help you tremendously on that. I've had clients try to do it themselves. It doesn't always work out the way that they'd like. Sometimes they're flooded with leads. They need people that are equipped to handle that many people calling in to possibly write a check. So if we can get that closure rate from 2% to 5%, that makes a world of difference when we're talking about an average investment size of $62,000 to $83,000 for a $50,000 minimum. And the reason we have that variation in average investment size, you might have one person say, I'll take the $50,000 minimum, and then a second person, you get on the phone and say, I'll take 3 units, and they put in $150,000. We've had people come in with a full $1 million investment, and then people obviously more typical put in that minimum. So once we get going, we always take a look at what the average investment size is, what the closure rate is, what list is responding best, and what copy is performing. So there are a lot of layers to this, and we're constantly monitoring and constantly making sure that we're making the best use of your money.
Yeah, it's awesome. And so here's a few slides I put together, kind of just analyzing the look. So again, on the initial mailing, and again, we used the 100,000 for easy math, a 5% response rate's 500 leads, going up to a 1.5% response rates, 1,500 leads. And in some cases, you could get 3% response rate. You could get 3,000 leads, right? But we're trying to be realistic and trying to put you in a mindset that there is no risk associated with this. And I'm going to get to that in a few minutes, but I really see no risk associated with this. So even at a 0.5% response rate, you got 500 leads, and your cost per lead is $200. Now, but you think about that, $200 a lead, but somebody who's read a 12-page advertorial or Magalog, they've responded to you, they've talked to somebody, and that's just a strong lead, right? And then you take that and go, okay, now those leads, if we convert a conversion of 0.3, now this is on a 1%, so we have 1,000 leads, and we got 0.3 of those, 3 investors to put in 50 grand, you got your 150 grand, right? I can't imagine not closing more than 5%, right? But 5% is real reasonable. That's $2.5 million, right? A 2% is $1 million. A 1% is $500,000. Higher than that 7%. And again, I think depending on how good the people are talking to them on the phone, and how quality, and going back to what I said at the very beginning, how worthy of you are investment, how attractive is your investment opportunity based on market cap, buyout, upside, risk versus return. These numbers can vary, but literally you can make and raise a lot of dough, and then you can scale it and just do another mailer, and then another mailer, and then another mailer, and it's like turning on the profit faucet. It's turning on the raising money faucet, where this money's coming in on a regular basis to fund your venture. So that is pretty much the presentation, and just a recap, right? So we're looking for people that are interested in doing this, and as I said, there's a lot of people on this call, a lot of people that were in our network, and we really haven't even started marketing this program, and we're looking for the right people, the 2 or 3 people that really are ready to do this, ready to get going. And basically we're going to get the 100,000 direct mail pieces sent for you, and if we need to alter that to a lower amount or a higher amount, we can do that. We're going to create the landing pages, we're going to write the emails, we're going to get the banner ads, we're going to get the Facebook ads, we're going to do all the integration. This is a turnkey system. You just got to work with us to give us the information so we can create the copy. And if this is you, you need to call 760-233-2863, and my team is standing by to get your name and information and follow up with you. And we can only do 2 or 3 of these a month, and then we're tapped out, because there's a lot of work that goes involved in putting these campaigns together. So with that, let me quit sharing my screen and come back to video here, and let's open it up for Q&A. If you guys have any questions, well, let me do this for a second. I got a poll, so I want to load this poll. So I just put a poll up. How much money do you need to raise for your venture? And I had to do multiple choice. So go ahead, answer that poll, and tell me how much money you're looking to raise for your venture. And there's a lot more people on this call than when we started. Awesome. So hey, we appreciate you guys hanging there toward the end. So I'm going to get a link for my free book. I'm going to give everyone a free book for hanging in there with us. But go ahead, type your questions in the chat box and take the poll. And I'm going to take a question before I come out to the chat box. So So Chris is asking, can this be used for raising real estate investing capital for secured debt?
Absolutely.
And the answer is yes. Right? We can use this for raising capital for anybody, any venture that's worthy of money that you can tell a story and target those right investors. Absolutely. Matter of fact, that you probably get a much higher response rate, much higher closing ratio with real estate because you do have collateral and it is secured debt. So it would be a fantastic way to build up that base for doing that.
Yeah, we've done several real estate funds and real estate opportunities. So yes.
Okay, and then Jeff is saying, would there not be more leverage and saleability to raise a fund to target investments? You could do a fund, but here's the problem with the fund is now whenever you're doing a fund or a pool, now there's all kinds of laws that you got to comply with, and it might conflict with the Jobs Act law or something. And again, I'm not a securities attorney, and I have never done a fund myself, although I've been asked to many a times. So it's just you got to look into the legal issues around a fund because you're prohibited to do certain things. And I'm sure you can advertise under the Jobs Act for your fund because I know they're doing that already. But you still have to do different filings and different fees and different costs associated with doing a fund or an investment pool.
Sure. And one thing I can say is if you do have questions on the legality of any of your deals that you're looking to do something like this with, I'm happy to put you in touch with an attorney who's a former SEC attorney. He's the private placement specialist and capital raising specialist. He does everything from full S1s to filing the 506Cs for the Jobs Act specifically, as well as being up to date on the new A+ rules that are out. So if you'd like his contact information, call Greg's team and we'll be able to put you in touch with him.
Yeah, no, if you guys need anything, business plans, execution plans, strategy plans, we have a network of people that do this that are on our team and work with us, and lawyers, of course, and intellectual property attorneys, that kind of stuff. Okay, so here's the magical question I forgot to even go over. So Tommy says, how much would it cost for a 100,000 piece mailing? So here's the deal. It's a $150,000 investment in this program, and from the time you start it, and that not all the money has to be put up front, and we'll go over all these details with you when we talk to you on the phone, but it's about 90 days to get executed. So if people get started next week, they're going to be getting going the 1st of January, which is a great time to raise money. We've had lots of great success for the first quarter of the year, people wanting to raise capital. And you go back to that slide that I showed a few minutes ago, I don't think there's any risk in this. If you have a good deal, it's worthy of capital, and you make a $150,000 investment in this, what's the chances are that you're not going to get 3 investors at 50 grand a pop to get your 150 grand back? I see no risk. I don't see any risk associated with this whatsoever.
I can say as far as the timing is concerned as well, for the last 40 years, our firm, Creative Direct Marketing Group, has done mailings constantly. We mail millions of pieces a month. And the best time to be in the mail where you're going to have a seasonal lift in response is the first few weeks of January. So actually now would be the perfect time to get started as we develop, and we can even test messaging prior to going out into the marketplace with some email marketing first. We can get started now, develop the creative package, and come out your strongest on this first round. So if you are looking, this is kind of the ideal time. So,
yeah, very cool. So our poll, I'm going to end that poll. 26% of the people are looking for more than 3 million. 21% are looking for between 1 and 3 million. 16% are looking for 500,000 to 1 million, and 11% are looking for less than 1,000. That's cool. Very cool. Okay, so let me see. I had a couple other polls. I'm going to put up one other poll here. Okay, so now there's a question related to this, so I'm going to put this on here. So for all the investors that are on the call, so somebody said if somebody doesn't have the money, can they get an investor to put up a bridge loan? So we have been talking to a number of investors, and we've been presenting this to investors, and we have investors on the line to see this presentation for this very reason. So the idea is that you could have an investor put up the $150,000, and they get $200,000 back of the first money that comes in, plus some warrants or some stock in your business. So we think it's a sweet deal because, again, we're going to be selective on the companies. Like, I can tell you by just looking at a business plan, talking to the management team, if this company's going to be able to raise the capital or not, if it's worthy of investment. Our team will look at it. we'll know. So if you are worthy of capital, you got a great team, great story, great investment opportunity, and you don't have the 150,000, you can still call our office, because we're lining up investors to go, man, I want to play. I want to put my 150 grand up. I want to get 200 grand back in 4 to 6 months, and I want some warrants and some stock for playing with my money, right? So if you're an investor and you're on this thing, I just put up the poll, would you be willing to put up 150 grand as a bridge loan to finance an entrepreneur's project, with the idea that you would get back your money plus some cash profit plus some equity and some warrants in the deal? So you go ahead and take that poll for the investors that are online. I know there's a lot of them online. And thank you, Billy D, for asking that question. And then Curtis asked this question. Curtis says, what do equity investors expect when investing as far as a private company? Now, that's another thing. I had a conversation today with a lady who wanted to raise $500,000 to $1 million, and she thought, and I was coaching her, and I said, look, if you want to hire me, I'm $3,000 a month, and I coach you on your structure, your capital formation. I coach you on how do you structure deals. Should it be convertible debt? Should it be preferred stock? Should it be common stock? Should it be a royalty? Should it be a combination of royalty? Should it be a prom note with a warrant kicker? And it all boils down to how much money do you need to raise? Where are you going to get the money from? What's the profile of that investor? And what's going to attract them to go to the bank, get money, and send it to you, right? So there's a lot of coaching and consulting that needs to be done with that. And I do have a program that if you're interested in, if you want to do 1 hour, $297 for 1 hour, I can help give you some basics on that. And we have other guys on my team that do the same thing as well. So we want to help you with that. But they do, depending on how much you're raising, you should have a private placement memorandum. And a private placement memorandum is nothing more than like I explain it this way. It's like a business plan wrapped in all kinds of risks. You're going to lose your money. This is a dangerous deal. Risk. And there's certain exemptions on private offerings when you're raising like less than $1 million, where you're not required by law to have a private placement memorandum. But every diligent attorney, individual investor will recommend you have one. It's a CYA, it's a cover your butt type thing, right? Because you want to let people know this is risky. There's always risks, right? There's risks in everything you do, and investing there's risks. So depending on the risk return. Now, another thing, in our new newsletter that's coming out, and again, I'm going to email everyone our new newsletter. We're working with Art Lipper, and we're talking and doing a lot more royalty structure. So if you have high profit margins in your product or service, you can pay a royalty based off gross revenue off the top. You have to negotiate valuation, you have to negotiate or how you're going to explain how you're going to get bought out or go public, and you can do royalties. And there's convertible debt. There's all kinds of ways to do it. And like the lady I was talking to this morning, I share with her 2 ideas how she could get all the money she needs from her existing database. And without that little conversation, she would have never thought of that, right? And now she's like, wow, lights went off, got it, get it. She had a big database. From her own customers, she can raise the $500,000, million she needs. But she still needs coaching on the structure and the legal stuff so she doesn't get herself in any trouble. So,
on the equity side as well, even public companies can file a 506c. So currently I have one company in particular that is doing a PIPE investment, or a private investment into public equity. Selling discount to market value in larger chunks of stock with I think it's a 1-year lock-in period to hold that stock. And they're raising not just investment capital through this method, but they're generating additional shareholders for their shareholder base, which helps them to qualify for moving from one of the smaller exchanges up to the full big board New York Stock Exchange or New York or NASDAQ. So even if it's a public company that's looking to raise additional capital, it's still available. So there are so many kinds of ways that we can raise capital for you. We also have a debt offering with Healthcare Capital Group. So whether it's debt, whether it's equity, convertible notes, it can work. We just need to take a look at the company, see how we have to market it and position you, and then go out to the investment community, explain why it's within their self-interest to invest with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So now here's another good question. So Prima is asking, she has a movie in development, and can this be used for production of the movie even if the returns won't be seen for several years? If you can sell the story and you got the credibility and all that kind of stuff to sell your movie, and again, that's a different, like that's a targeted investor. Like, you know, you got to buy the right list. There's lots of people that love to invest in movies. So yes, you don't have to provide a return right out the bat. Now, if somebody put up the bridge loan for you, they're going to take the money from the money you raise. But if you're financing a movie, I mean, I could be financing my business. I might not be profitable for 3 years, you know. So it's not about when you're profitable or when you can create a return for the investor. It's about that you package up your investment opportunity and make the story sellable. And again, depending on the kind of investor you're going after, you know, you have to structure your deal in certain ways. Like, again, a professional angel investor like myself, you know, I see what, 2 to 20 deals a day. And I know when I'm comparing that many deals, you got to be a really hot deal to get me interested, right? And same thing with a lot of investors. So, and then Tommy says, I'll piggyback on that poll. He says, if we're so confident in this program by the metrics you provide, why don't you create and participate in the program yourself and fund it? Actually, we are. So we're doing that with our clients, and we're actually putting together, we're looking to put together a fund to do this very thing. Now, I wish I could say I just sold my company for $400 million and I could do this over and over and every day for everybody to do it, but I haven't. I did, right? So I'm like everybody else. I'm an entrepreneur on one side, I'm an investment banker on the other side, and I'm helping investors and I'm making some investments, but I don't have an unlimited piggy bank, Tommy. I wish I did. And actually, you know what? Out of all the investors we have in our database, even though they might be worth 100 million, 200 million, this is high risk, high return investments. You know, most people don't put more than 3 to 10% of their portfolio in these type of investments. And what we recommend for investors that are kind of new to us, say here you're watching Shark Tank TV show and you're a high net worth investor and you're going, man, I would invest in that deal. We want you to commit to putting $10 to $25, $50,000 in 10 deals, right? Because you got to diversify your portfolio. You can't just put $500,000 in one deal or 100, you know, you got to put money in lots of deals to make that return pay for itself.
And I can expand on that actually, that I am my own client. I have my own deal, and we are putting the capital up. We're already in process with everything. So I'm a big believer of what we do because I know it works. So we're currently raising $28 million for our own deal, and this is something that we obviously see working. We want to continue to help people, so we're going to continue to work with different groups that want to participate as well.
Yeah, and then Chris said he has lots of questions. And again, so if you have lots of questions, just call our office, 760-233-2860. And Jeff and Ed are my partners, and Billy, somebody's going to answer that phone. They'll get you information. I know the phone's ringing off the hook right now. And we'll follow up with you. And we want to help implement this for you and get things going. So I don't see any more questions. If you have any more questions, I'm going to go ahead and end this poll. And boom, there we go. We ended that poll. We have 25% of the people that took the poll said yes, they'd make a bridge loan for this kind of investment, 25% no, and 50% said possibly. So again, the possibly is how good is the deal, how good is the story. We're going to find investors that want to back the right entrepreneurs, because that's what we're about. We're about creating jobs, helping the entrepreneur, innovation, stimulating the economy, and making America, you know, take Donald Trump's line, making America great again. So I got one more poll up here that I want to show you guys. And I do this because I want to always get better at what we do. I always want to get better at what we do. So I just put up a poll. How would you rate this presentation? Tell us honestly what you thought. Excellent, average, a waste of my time. I literally value your time. I value my time. There's nothing more important in the world than the time we have and what we do with our time. And I never, ever want to do anything where you feel like I wasted your time. And if you feel I did, I want to know why, because I want to fix it. And I want to make sure that we don't do this. And I want to continue to offer the best content to help entrepreneurs succeed and help investors get there. So go ahead, take that poll, and I'll go check. If you have any last minute questions, we'll open it up for questions. And okay, so typically, how long does it take to complete a campaign? So why don't you walk through that timeline, Caleb?
Sure. As I mentioned, it takes us quite a bit of time to research and craft to the best of our abilities your offer, and to articulate why it's within the investor's self-interest to work with you and your group. So that process starts with a creative session where we ask probing questions to you with my whole team. I have my creative director, the person that's going to be working on art for your project, dedicated account executive, a whole team of people from data, creative to strategy and management. We sit down, we pull out through asking probing questions the right information that we need to properly articulate the piece. That process of then crafting that message goes through many, many rounds of copy to make sure that we aren't going to waste your money, that it's going to be a piece that works, so we can get above 0.5%, so we can get close to that 1%, so we can surpass that 1% response rate and generate the leads that you need. That process ends up taking about 30 days in development, 30 days in data, and 30 days in production to get out to the marketplace. So 90 days total is typically what we do. We've been able to expedite it down to 2 months, and then I have other clients that want to take longer to make sure that we have the piece correct, and they'll drag it out for another month, and we'll take 4 months to make sure that we're properly articulating who you are, what you have to offer the investor, and why it's within their self-interest to call you and invest with you. So I hope that answers the question. Once you're out in the marketplace, it can take up to 30 days for all of the response to come in. If an investor first gets an email from you, it's followed up with a direct mail piece, a couple more emails. You have banner ads that are following them from website to website, and they're seeing you in their Facebook. If it's going to take 7 hits, then it might be a few weeks until they end up clicking on an email or clicking on a Facebook ad or a banner ad, seeing the offer, picking up the phone, and calling Greg's team. So, if it takes 90 days to get out to the marketplace, let's add another 30 days for you to have that response coming in and subscribing or investing.
So there you go. And going back to the risks, it's like, and again, I got to tell you, I've been raising money for entrepreneurs my whole adult life since I was 19 years old. I mean, I raised money for Home Shopping Network, the smart carts at the airports, the Go Dick videos. We were involved in early stages of Microsoft, all that kind of stuff, right? I have never seen anything that's duplicatable and scalable. And again, you have to be worthy of money. You have to have a great investment opportunity. But I believe for the right companies in the right space, there is no risk. You're going to get your money back, and you're going to get that brand recognition, especially on the B2C side. The brand recognition, the potential customers, the potential website visits. You're going to get tons of that when you're doing 100,000 of anything. It just you can't. And you can do all your due diligence on Angel Investors Network, on Creative Direct Marketing Group, and you will see we're the only ones doing this, and we're the only ones qualified and have the background experience to do this because of what we've done at Angel Investors Network and what Creative Marketing's done for 30 years in the direct mail marketing. We are very, very unique in that regards. So if you're an investor and you said, hey, I'm interested in possibly doing a bridge loan, this, call our offices and let Jeff or Ed or Billy know, 760-233-2860, and we'll get you in the campaign. You don't no obligation, just get more information. We'll send you a package. I'm getting all kinds of great comments. Thank you guys for the comments. Great content. A unique offer I haven't seen. No one else is teaching this. Thank you very much. I thank you very much for that. I'll go to the poll and see how the poll is. 83% said excellent, 17% said average, and 0% said waste of time. So, okay, I've done my job. I'm happy now. So, look, who do you know? Share this with some friends. Tell some people. If you want to get the replay, call the office. Our team will tell you how to get the replay. We are recording this. We're going to put it up on YouTube somewhere, and we'll get you the replay. But call our office. Talk to our office. If you know somebody, let them know. Tell them to give us a call. If you're not a member of Angel Investors Network, consider joining. It's $470 a year for investors. It's $47 a month and for entrepreneurs. And we have a membership site where we have all kinds of tools. We have document libraries where we help you get what you need through education to get where you want to go. Our newsletter is incredible. So with that being said, I got to end this poll, and I'm going to go back to chat, and I promise you guys a free book. I want you to go to www. I'm going to type this into the chat box, Saving America One Crowd at a Time.com, and on that page, you can fill out a little form. I just want you to pay the $3 or $4 shipping and handling, whatever it is. I think it's $4.95 or something. And I'll send you my book, Saving America Let me see if I have one. I thought I had one here at my condo, but I don't see one around. But keep on our list, let us know, and we're going to be reporting to you. Both Caleb is doing this for his company that he's a part of, so like you said, he sees his own client, and we're doing this for one of our companies that's involved in the apparel industry. I'll show you right here. We've got an apparel company, and we got a proprietary process for putting bling on shirts, and we got MBA licenses and college licenses and that kind of stuff. We're doing ourselves, so we'll be reporting to you the case studies for our own stuff. But we really got a handle on this, so I want to say thank you very much. Hey, Caleb, you're a rock star for your first hangout. I hope you enjoyed it.
Thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me, everybody.
All right, so this is Greg Grader saying we appreciate you. Thank you very much, and do what we do. Wake up every day with an attitude of gratitude and tell somebody you love them, and I promise you'll have a better day. We're signing off, everybody.
Thank you.